Star Wars podcast. Remember, good soldiers follow orders.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Clone Command, a Star Wars podcast. So, just getting straight into it, I mean, unless you guys have been hiding under a rock, you've noticed that there's been a lot of controversy in the Star Wars fandom between people who support the expanded universe and Legends and people who support Disney's new stuff. And not all of it is garbage. It's just, let's just take a step back, right? 2013. I think it was 2013. Whoa, I might be getting my dates wrong. George Lucas sold Star Wars to Disney, and he had a plan for episodes 7 through 9. Disney didn't use that. I can't remember if that was in the contract or not, but regardless, Disney didn't use it. Now we have the fandom who had existed before George sold Disney, who are used to the expanded universe. They're used to the original 6 movies, and that's their lens that they see Star Wars from. And we have this newer fandom who people are really quick to call fake fans, which I wouldn't necessarily say they're fake fans. I would just say that they see Star Wars through a different lens. They were the fans that came in with the sequel trilogy. They came in with the Clone Wars. They came in with Rogue One, or they don't have the same lens that the people before George Lucas sold Disney have, right? So I think a big problem is that people aren't willing to actually see it from the other person's perspective. So for example, I had a little bit of a conversation on a Discord server with someone who was a fan of The Acolyte, and I was trying to explain to them how the way I see Star Wars, The Acolyte was not canon, and it didn't fit with the lore or what George Lucas had actually created Star Wars to originally be. And they're like, oh, but that doesn't matter because George Lucas sold Star Wars. And I was like, no, you can't. Like, when you start saying that it doesn't, like, the actual basis for the world doesn't matter for a new show or it's just ridiculous. Like, I don't know. So I think the problem is people don't actually see where the other side's coming from. Because alternatively, people from The Acolyte, like, when I try to think of how people could actually like the sequels, like, for example, Star Wars Network. I love that guy. He's fun. But he likes the sequels. And good for him. More power to him. But I can't actually understand how. It just confuses me. Because, I'm not calling him a fake fan. He's just a different fan, right? So I think the solution to this is rather than yelling and screaming at each other and saying you're wrong, you're not a real Star Wars fan, whatever. And obviously the other side likes to call us lots of names, and that's not okay. You shouldn't be calling anyone names. But I think rather than all of that, we should acknowledge that we come from two different perspectives. We come from, like, you have the expanded universe and the Legends people, and then you have the people who have the sequels, right? So we have different perspectives coming in from Star Wars, so we're not starting from the same place. And I think that's the problem, is we're acting like we both start at the same place, and we're like, well, why don't you like what I like? Well, because we don't have the same basis for that. So I hope that kind of makes sense. Where I wanted to go with this is we can both, I think both sides agree that we want to see good Star Wars content. We want to see Star Wars content that's well made, and it's well produced. I think what Disney needs to do now, like, the fans are just gonna yell and scream at each other. I think we cannot. I think we can keep to our own sides, but that's also gonna divide it even more. Maybe we're not yelling and screaming at each other now, but now we're just two separate fandoms. So I think what Disney really needs to do, they need to take something that's non-partisan, so for neither side, like The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian brought EU fans back, or some of them, and it brought both sides in. So I think what Disney really needs to do is they need to take a project people actually want to see, maybe fast forward in the timeline, 1,000 years, Rey's dead, everyone's dead, and start something new that both sides can enjoy and like, and actually come together and talk about. Because I think that's the major problem, is where Disney's hitting right now is on like every single point that both sides like, right? So, for example, take the Acolyte, right? So it has Yoda, it has, obviously there's a Keanu Mundi controversy, it has the Jedi Order, as seen in the Phantom Menace. So, I think the problem that people are having is one side has one perception of the Force, the Jedi Order, Yoda, and the other side has a different perception, or rather a perception that they don't like. They can change. They're not as connected to it because it's not part of the basis of their Star Wars, like love for Star Wars. Whereas I would say the basis for my love of Star Wars is the original 6 movies. I think those are the most important things, and I don't feel like the Force or the Jedi Order was well reflected in the Acolyte. So basically, what I'm trying to say is Disney needs to do something to bring the fandom together. Like I said, fast forward, start a whole new trilogy, something like that. Spend time on it, work hard, and actually make a good production. I think that's the most important thing. Disney, they like making money, and I can't blame them for wanting to make money, but make money and make a good product. I think that's the thing. They do so much, like where they ruined Grogu's storyline because they brought him back after bringing him to Luke and all this sort of stuff. It's just marketing, it's just brand placement. So really, I think just slow down, make a good 3 movies. Think those out too. I mean, I think even sequel fans can admit that it wasn't well thought out. The movies, they were confused where they were going to go. Adam Driver said that they changed his character arc multiple times. So I think just need to slow down and make something that all the fans can enjoy and come together with. So yeah, that's just really my thoughts. Make sure to tell me what you guys think Disney should do down in the comments. I hope you guys have a great day. May the Force be with you, and remember, good soldiers follow orders.